Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video, and it's one I'm excited for today. This is the Mandalorian Beskar Armor Unlock video. We haven't had one of these characters in a while. I don't know if you would call it a legendary or a journey character, but it's one where there's 5 characters and the only requirement is you have to have them all at 7 stars. There's no gear gate to get in the door or anything like that. Just get the characters to 7 stars and you can try the event. And the recommended gear level for the event is pretty low. It's gear 10. That's great. So I am excited for this event to be back and really looking forward to this video. That said, I was recording my first playthrough of the event live, and of course the recording crashed. So I did end up finishing the event. So the good news is the video that I'm going to make now is going to be much more clean and tidy because I've done everything and I know how it works, rather than the trial and error that these videos usually take. So as you can see, I've gotten the full thing done. And before I go into it, I will say, if you haven't seen the show, the events of the battle track some of what happens. So I'm not going to spoil anything by talking about the show or anything like that, but if you want a complete spoiler-free season 1 of The Mandalorian, then you probably shouldn't watch this, because some of the elements, the beats of the show are laid out in the battles. But it's nothing too bad. It's nothing that's going to ruin the story for you, but there are things in there that you wouldn't expect, and when you see the show you'll be like, oh, that's where that came from, right? So I just want that covered up front because it's such a good show. I actually just finished watching the most recent episode of season 2 today, and man, it's great. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then skip the video. However, up front, I can give you some of the information that you may need. What's the minimum gear level that you'll need to get through this event? Well, we can look at my characters and you can see I've got them all here. The Mandalorian who you use is at gear 9. I have Greef and Cara and IG-11 at gear 8, and Kuiil down at gear 7. And that was enough to get through it. I did remod these characters to give them my best, obviously, non-6E mods, as they're too low to use those. And this was enough. The ones that are, I was going to say the ones that are most important are the last 2 battles, but that uses all of the characters. Kuiil has the second to last battle, and it's by himself, and it is a bit tough. You'll see when we get into it, but I took a couple of retries, and I was able to get through it with him at gear 7. He's not used in the final battle, and the final battle is the hardest one by far. So if you're going to invest in the gear, you can get through with less on him, and the other 4 characters are used in the final tier. So you might want a little bit more investment there. So that's the big overall picture. At the very end of the video, I'll have a detailed view of each of these characters' stats, like the full detailed view of what their final stats are that I used to beat the event. You can get a detailed look at the mods. But that's the gear level. 9 for Mando, 8 for everybody else except Kuiil, who's down at 7. So if we go into the event here, we can see that Tier 1 is the Mandalorian and IG-11. And Tier 1 is super easy. You can kind of just blast through it if you've got anywhere near the gear level that I have. So I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm not even going to think about it. You just point and shoot, use the abilities, the AoEs, whatever. You will knock this out very quickly, very easily. There's just not much to it. IG-11 does have his speed doubled. He's kind of souped up for the event. He didn't need it. I don't know why. It's cool. It kind of goes with how he's in the show there a little bit, but super easy event. You don't really need anything to get through this one. And we'll make sure to stay silent during the cutscenes there to show reference for the show because it's such a good show. It was great. Okay, so Tier 2 is just the Mandalorian by himself. So sometimes these are trouble because if you have just a one-on-one fight, there's not a lot of strategy, not a lot you can do if the battle is tough. Thankfully, this battle is not tough. I actually got through all but the final wave, the final tier of this event with the Mandalorian at gear 8. So I only bumped him up to 9 for the last one. This thing does have this mud horn that you're fighting has a mechanic where you can only take it down in fifths. Like you can only go to 80% health and 60, 40, 20. You can't just one-shot it if you're, got your guy at gear 13, relic 7. You have to stop at those intervals, so there is a little bit more to the fight than just one-shotting it, but it wasn't necessary. It's still super easy, so kind of a weird added mechanic that really just doesn't affect the battle at all. Even with my first playthrough, it took me longer than what you just saw there, and it doesn't seem that there's any special mechanic. The Mudhorn doesn't have like a built-up attack or anything else. It's just there for you to kind of beat on for a couple of turns. Okay, tier 3 is just the Mandalorian, but now he's got his armor upgrade. So it's still your character using your stats, but the abilities are now for the Beskar Mando, which is the one that you unlock for the event. So kind of a weird setup, how it's that hybrid, and that will be the rest of the battles will play out that way. You're using Beskar Mando, who's based on your regular Mando's stats. And again, this is very easy. I did it at gear 8. I found that the bounty hunters with the sticks here, I could one-shot, whereas the guys with the guns, sometimes I needed to two-shot. So if you're looking to scrape by, see there, even now, I'm still two-shotting these guys. I took out the stick guys first to get them out, and then, two-shotted the other ones after that. So there you go. And then in this third fight, there is a boss kind of in the background. It's Greef there, and he's under stealth. So one of the cool things, or the cool thing about Beskar Mando's kit is the Whistling Birds. You can kind of set it up, power it up, and then fire it off at any enemy. You can ignore stealth and taunt and all that stuff. So I thought, oh, that must be what I'm supposed to do here. But you can't charge up the Whistling Birds because it's just Mando by himself. So the Whistling Birds, even with the characters at this low level, you can't get through them with the Whistling Birds because you don't get any charges for it. So, use it for fun if you want, but you're going to have to just kind of hack your way through here. These guys do not go down from the Whistling Birds because you only get the one charge, and it's just not powerful enough. But the good news is that you don't need it because these guys are super low level. You can see they're just level 49. Their gear, I don't know, what is that, 5 maybe? And so it is a cakewalk. All right, next is tier 4, and for this one we get to use Cara Dune. And so for this one we'll go with the setup, and we'll throw the grenades out. There are 2 waves here. There is a boss in the second wave, so keep that in mind. And oh wow, it missed. Okay, let's do the damage immunity just because we can, and we're gonna burn a couple more turns till we get through here. And this Mando, interestingly, they give him the basic of the old Mando, but then the other abilities of the new one. I guess they don't want him running up and stabbing the guy here in the second wave. So kind of an interesting little hybrid kit, how they handled Mando in this fight. So you can see there is a big ATST. It's not really a threat. We'll do the setup and the AoE. I took down the ads first and didn't really have a problem. The ATST does have this one mechanic, which it's doing right now. It does a spotted mechanic. It did it on Cara for me last time. I don't know if it's programmed to go for her. We'll give her damage immunity. Basically, she just gets targeted and takes extra damage, but it wasn't ever a problem. And again, I think she was down at gear 7 when I did this the first time, and it wasn't a problem. It wasn't really even close. So again, the Whistling Birds aren't gonna get charged up, so there's no real advantage to using it. I think you're better off with the basic, and to just kind of chop through this guy. Yeah, sure, put the damage immunity on there. But you can see even this thing, it is a boss, but it's level 60, I don't know, gear 10-ish, but not really a threat. Okay, so tier 5, you can see we're kind of just blasting through this. Tier 5 is the first time where you have just a little bit of a gut check, a little bit of a pause. And again, I'm down here at gear 7 with my Kuiil. And this is like there is in all of these other, I guess this is a journey rather than a legendary battle. In all these other journeys, this is a cinematic battle. You can't win. You can't defeat the troopers. You have to get the cooldown on this special event ability down to 0 and activate it. That's how you win. And the way you decrease this is by getting debuffs landed on the 2 enemies. So the key here is just going to be to trigger the stuns as often as you can, hit the guy with the highest turn meter to prevent as many turns as possible, heal when you need to, and then the RNG just needs to work itself out. It took me 3 tries my first time through. Hopefully I get it my first time here. We'll see how it goes. But we'll go and just kind of bounce back and forth here as we go for stuns. Again, this guy has more turn meter, and we hope they land. We'll go for the heals when we need it. They're really close, but this guy's higher. And we'll get the burning on the other guy. So we've got speed down on both of them. I don't know. It's going to be close. Get the heal up. And a stun. Burning. We got it. Oh. Don't know if he's going to survive this. I think this guy's higher. Will we get the turn? Oh, we didn't even get it. So they are probably going to double tap me here. Yeah, they did. Okay, so if the stuns aren't landing, I mean, potency obviously is super important when you're landing debuffs. Yeah, and if you're missing those stuns, if they get a couple turns in a row, it's gonna be bad. Oh, we'll start with the first one. You know what? That's okay. We back out. We go right back in. All right, go for the stun to start things off. Nice, full set of debuffs there. Let's go for the burn. And the stun. And we got it. Nice. Okay, good start here. And you can see we're already down to 40. I don't think we need to heal yet. Let's try and get some burning here. And we can go for a stun and then a heal. Nice. And now we can stun the other guy again. I'm tempted to go for the first guy. Yeah, I want to get that speed down. Great. Let's get a double stun. Nice. And now we can heal. And stun here would be great. That would pretty much lock us in. Nice. I don't know if the burn matters. Let's go here. And they both have... This guy has a little bit more turn meter, so we'll go for him. Let's get that heal. And still they both have speed down, so let's go here. Oh, we missed it. Almost. He's going to have to dodge one. Or a stun. And a heal. And let's see. He's got speed down. We got to go here. If we hit this, we should get the next turn. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so it's just a little bit of RNG. That was my 4th total try there. Again, Gear 7 really pushing the limits of what you need to get done, and we got through it. Okay, Tier 6. Tier 6, just like every other one of these journeys, there's one battle that's the tough one, that's the hurdle, that's the gear check, if you will. It's usually not the last battle, but in this one, it definitely is. So this time we've got everybody except Kuiil. Beskar Mando with the lead, Greef, IG-11, and then Cara. And the enemies that we're facing, we've got Moff Giddeon with a slew of stormtroopers. And the strategy here, the way that I got through this, was to charge up 2 whistling birds that are pretty much full, target them both on Giddeon, and thanks to getting a little bit of extra damage in between those whistling birds directly on Giddeon, I was able to get through it. There is some RNG here. This is a little bit of a play, but I can kind of figure out the abilities that Gideon's got, and if things line up right, you can do it with this setup. All right, so we'll go with the setup. And I have Mando modded for offense. The original way I had it set up was for crit chance, crit damage, which the old Mando uses in his kit, but because you're using Beskar Mando, you want offense for the true damage that the whistling birds do. So get that offense up on your mods for Mando. And I want him to go first, and then everyone else to go closely after him. So again, he can do the setup, and then while he's waiting, they can do the area damage to get the whistling birds going. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is dispel the buffs on this first tank. That's kind of the key. We dispel the buffs on the first stormtrooper, and then burn down the second trooper, and then when the second trooper's down, we try and get those free hits in on Giddeon, and then the second whistling birds will take him out. It's tough, it doesn't always work out, but that's the plan. Alright, so we go with the AoE, and now Gideon's going to get his first turn. And it just, wow, okay, he did his basic, so that's good in that we're in pretty good shape here. Let's do our whistling birds. And you can see all of his protection is already gone, and we're starting to eat into his health a little bit. He does have more health, though, than protection, so we're almost halfway home, but not quite. Alright, so now we're going to start burning this stormtrooper down. Now, Giddeon has two other big moves at play. One is an area attack that hits everybody, and another is like call everybody to assist and attack a single target. So because he didn't lead with either of those, we're a little bit unsure what he's going to do next. Let's get the Retribution up. IG will do a cleanse, and we want the Foresight here to dodge the burn that's coming from the Incinerator Trooper. So we're not actually healing anybody, but we're doing this for the Foresight. So there we go. We dodge that, and now we'll get a bunch of counterattacks, and we're hopefully going to burn this guy down. And now the question is, let's put the damage immunity on and hope Giddeon does the directed attack on IG-11. He'll just soak that up. Nope, it's the area. We got to survive it. And the problem with that is he puts daze on everybody. Okay, so with Cara is up, we're going to save her area attack for the next discipline setup. There we go. So the Stormtrooper's down, and this is our chance. Let's get a little bit of free damage in here on Giddeon. And we just need Cara to survive this. So Gideon's next attack is going to be that like all-out assault on IG-11. I want to save her AoE here because we need to have that for Mando's ability. Okay, great. Let's go into the discipline setup. I hope IG beats him here so we can get that taunt up. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Yep, looks like we're going to get the taunt. And the AoE, this will be a full Whistling Birds. And that should easily be enough. There it is. Okay, so that's pretty reliable. That was my first attempt there going in, and that worked out. So there we go. That was the key. I did need a little bit more offense on Mando. Maybe if you have some 5-dot mods that are offense focused, like really good offense mods, you can probably get through this with a Gear 8 Mando without going any of your characters to Gear 9. If, again, because the Whistling Birds carries the day, right? You need to burn those Whistling Birds to hit as hard as possible to take out as much as Gideon's health and protection. You can do it in 2. If it takes you 3 Whistling Birds, you're not going to get there. The damage coming in from the enemies is just too much. So, dispel the buff on one trooper, Whistling Birds on Giddeon, burn down the second trooper, get a couple of free hits. You need to like poke at him a little bit. I wasn't able to take him out with just the 2 Whistling Birds. Get those couple of free hits in, second Whistling Birds, and you'll be home free. So, that was it. That was great. This event is just, I mean, it's perfect. It's tuned well. It's low bar to entry. You get to like play with the characters and go for the minimum gear level. And again, these characters are needed for the Beskar Mando team, so you're probably going to want to gear them up anyway. But with Mando being needed for all of these galactic challenges right now, it's important to unlock him as soon as possible. So unlock him now and then get his team geared up later. So that is the guide here at the end of the video. Now I'll show you the detailed view of all the characters, those mods, their stats, so you know what I'm working with in terms of speed and those other statistics. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will try to get to them as quickly as I can. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.